Florida's rental market is cracking in ways no one expected. The Sunshine State once attracted millions of newcomers, investors, and Airbnb hosts chasing easy profit. But in 2025, the tide has turned. Rents are falling, vacancies are surging, and landlords who once bragged about endless demand are quietly panicking behind the scenes. Today on Discover the Nation, we count down the top 10 Florida cities where rent is collapsing faster than anywhere else in the country. If you live in one of these cities or you own property there, this is your warning.
Number 10. Ocala, Florida. Ocala has always been known for its calm lifestyle, rolling horse farms, and affordability that attracted retirees, healthcare workers, and families seeking quieter living. But in 2025, the city finds itself at the center of one of Florida's most dramatic rental reversals. Data from Apartment List and Zillow confirms that Ocala is seeing one of the steepest rent declines among all medium-sized cities in the state. Rents have fallen far faster than local income growth, creating a widening gap between developer expectations and the reality now unfolding. During the pandemic migration surge, Ocala saw an influx of residents from Orlando, Miami, Tampa, and major northern metros. Builders responded aggressively. According to Florida Realtors, more than 6,000 new rental units were permitted across Marion County between 2020 and 2023, one of the largest construction waves the region has ever recorded. New complexes rose rapidly along State Road 200, in Silver Spring Shores, and throughout fast-growing pockets outside downtown. By 2025, demand began to unravel. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports a clear slowdown in job additions across Ocala's key sectors, especially healthcare and logistics. Core employers like Advent Health and the Regional Medical Center have reduced hiring, while the distribution sector, that once expanded quickly, has cooled due to national freight slowdowns. Population inflow has weakened as well. Census estimates show that the rate of new arrivals into Marion County has dropped sharply as remote work benefits shrink and more households reconsider relocation costs. With fewer newcomers, landlords are now competing for the same limited pool of renters. Entire apartment communities built during the boom are offering unprecedented incentives: weeks of free rent, zero deposit programs, lower application fees. Some even include gift card bonuses to sign a lease. CoStar reports vacancy rates above 11% in several communities, a clear sign of oversupply. Ocala was never expected to become one of Florida's weakest rental markets, yet in 2025, that is exactly what is happening. Too many units, not enough renters, and a slowdown far deeper than anyone predicted.
Number 9. Daytona Beach, Florida. Daytona Beach is known worldwide for its racing culture, beaches, and nonstop tourism energy. But beneath the buzz of events and seasonal visitors, the rental market in 2025 is showing unmistakable distress. CoStar reports that vacancy rates in several Daytona submarkets have climbed above 10%, one of the fastest increases along Florida's East Coast. The surprising reality is that strong visitor spending is no longer translating into long-term rental demand. Much of the problem traces back to the construction boom between 2019 and 2023. Daytona approved thousands of new rental units along the LPGA corridor, near the Speedway, and throughout beachside neighborhoods. Developers expected remote workers, retirees, and tourism employees to fill units quickly. Instead, demand has stalled. The University of Florida Bureau of Economic and Business Research shows population growth in Volusia County slowing to one of the lowest rates in nearly a decade. With fewer new households forming, every additional unit intensifies competition. Landlords who routinely raised rents are now cutting prices simply to retain tenants. Another major shift is the decline of the short-term rental boom. Daytona became a magnet for investors purchasing properties for vacation bookings. But rising insurance costs, stricter city rules, and weaker occupancy have pushed many of those owners back into the long-term market. This has added hundreds of extra units to an already saturated supply pool. CoStar and Zillow both show significant declines in advertised rents across newer developments. Landlords are offering move-in credits, reduced deposits, discounted monthly rates, and large concession packages. Even luxury buildings near the Speedway and riverfront are offering incentives rarely seen in previous years. Daytona Beach is now facing a rental market overwhelmed by new construction and limited permanent residency growth. In 2025, this iconic coastal city has become one of Florida's hardest markets for landlords trying to stay profitable amid rising vacancies and falling rent prices.
Number 8. Port St. Lucie, Florida. Port St. Lucie was once one of the biggest stars of Florida's pandemic migration boom. Families from Miami, New York, New Jersey, and California poured into the Treasure Coast looking for space, affordability, and newer homes. The city grew so quickly that it became one of the fastest expanding metros in the entire country. But in 2025, Port St. Lucie is dealing with a very different reality. The rental market is cooling harder and faster than anyone expected. Zillow's rental index shows that asking rents in Port St. Lucie have been slipping steadily for more than a year. What was once a heated market has now transitioned into oversupply. According to CoStar, vacancy rates across the Treasure Coast have climbed significantly, with some large communities reporting vacancies above 10%. The city simply built too many rentals in too short a time. During the peak migration years, developers rushed to capitalize on the surge of incoming residents. Entire neighborhoods of new apartments were approved and built across Tradition, Torino, and St. Lucie West. At the same time, investors bought up thousands of single-family homes, believing Florida was guaranteed to deliver endless rental demand. But once national inflation hit hard and insurance premiums rose across the state, many households reconsidered relocating. The steady stream of newcomers that Port St. Lucie relied on began to slow. Population growth in St. Lucie County has stalled, according to the University of Florida's Bureau of Economic Research. Job growth has been slower than projected as well. That means fewer renters entering the market, while hundreds of brand new units continue to hit the supply pool. Investors are now stuck in fierce competition with each other. Homes that rented instantly in 2021 are sitting vacant for weeks. Many owners who bought at the absolute peak are cutting rent aggressively to avoid long periods without cash flow. Some are offering free months, reduced deposits, and renewable discounts. Port St. Lucie is not a crisis, but it is undeniably oversupplied. Too many rentals, not enough renters, and a market that once felt unstoppable is now learning the consequences of overbuilding.
Number 7. West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach has long been one of South Florida's most desirable rental markets, powered by its coastal lifestyle, expanding downtown, and steady migration from Miami and the Northeast. For years, demand was so strong that new apartments leased instantly and rents climbed to record highs. But in 2025, the momentum has shifted, and West Palm Beach is now facing a clear rental cooldown. Redfin and Realtor Analytics show that median asking rent in West Palm Beach has begun declining year over year. CoStar reports rising vacancies in downtown towers, properties along Okeechobee Boulevard, and several Northwood and Village Commons communities. These increases are much higher than developers projected during the boom. A major reason is the slowdown in corporate expansion. During the pandemic shift, West Palm Beach attracted financial firms and remote workers relocating from New York, New Jersey, and Chicago. That surge boosted the rental market almost overnight, but hiring has since cooled, remote work trends have stabilized, and fewer high-income renters are arriving than developers anticipated. Population growth across Palm Beach County has also weakened. Without a steady stream of newcomers, the rental pipeline has thinned. Meanwhile, construction did not slow. Between 2020 and 2024, West Palm Beach approved thousands of new units in downtown, Northwood, and near the Brightline station. Much of this inventory entered the market just as demand softened, creating a noticeable oversupply at the high end of the rental market. Landlords are adjusting quickly. Concessions that were once rare are now common. Move-in credits, zero deposit options, discounted first-year leases, even luxury buildings that previously filled without hesitation are offering large incentives to keep occupancy stable. West Palm Beach is not collapsing, but the shift is undeniable. Too much new inventory, fewer relocating renters, and softer job growth have created a competitive rental environment unlike anything the city has seen in years. In 2025, the market is recalibrating, and landlords are feeling the pressure.
Number 6. Kissimmee, Florida. Kissimmee was once the beating heart of Florida's short-term rental empire. Just minutes from Disney World and surrounded by endless vacation traffic, the city became the #1 hotspot for Airbnb investors during the pandemic era.
Entire neighborhoods were purchased by out-of-state buyers who believed nightly booking profits would flow forever. But in 2025, Kissimmee has transformed into the ground zero of rental market panic, and the shift has been brutal. According to Apartment List, Kissimmee is now experiencing some of the fastest falling rents in the entire Orlando metro. The biggest cause is oversupply, created by the collapse of the short-term rental industry. Rising insurance premiums, stricter county regulations, and declining occupancy rates have forced thousands of Airbnb hosts to abandon nightly rentals and flood the market with long-term listings. This sudden conversion has overwhelmed demand. CoStar reports that vacancy rates across Osceola County have climbed significantly, with some large complexes seeing double-digit vacancy percentages. Rent concessions are everywhere. 2 months free, free amenity upgrades, discounted renewal rates, even luxury vacation homes are being offered for long-term leases at prices far below what they commanded just a year ago. Tourism has recovered, but tourism jobs have not created enough stable income to absorb the new supply of rentals. Many workers in the hospitality industry cannot afford the prices landlords expected, especially with rising property taxes and insurance costs pushing monthly rents higher. As a result, units sit empty. Another factor is migration patterns. Data from the University of Florida Bureau of Economic and Business Research shows that the in-migration wave into Osceola County has slowed noticeably. People who relocated during the pandemic for cheaper living are now facing insurance premiums and cost pressures that rival South Florida levels. Many are leaving for more affordable cities inland. Kissimmee has become a perfect example of what happens when an entire rental market leans too heavily on short-term profit models. The result is oversupply, falling rents, and landlords struggling to stay above water. In 2025, Kissimmee is no longer the playground of vacation investors. It is a market in full retreat.
Number 5. Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville has always been one of Florida's most spacious and rapidly growing metros. With its strong military presence, expanding port operations, and booming suburbs, it became a magnet for newcomers from the Northeast and Midwest. During the pandemic boom, rents climbed at some of the fastest rates in the country, and developers scrambled to build. But in 2025, Jacksonville's rental market is hitting the exact opposite trend. It is cooling sharply, vacancies are rising, and landlords are facing pressure that few expected this soon. CoStar's latest analytics reveal a significant surge in rental inventory across the metro. The South Side, Bartram Park, Town Center, and the North Side have all seen large apartment communities struggle to fill newly completed units. Some properties are offering 2 months free rent and waived deposits just to attract tenants. This level of concession activity is typically seen only during deep demand downturns. What caused the shift? Insurance costs are one of the primary drivers. Florida's statewide spike in homeowners and property insurance has trickled directly into rent pricing. Many renters simply cannot absorb annual rent increases tied to insurance adjustments, forcing them to look for cheaper options in surrounding counties like Clay and Nassau. The Bureau of Labor Statistics also reports slower job growth in Jacksonville's key sectors, including logistics, finance, and healthcare. Wage gains have not kept pace with rising living expenses, shrinking the pool of renters who can afford newer Class A apartments. Another major factor is supply. Between 2020 and 2024, Jacksonville approved thousands of new rental units, far outpacing the actual rate of population growth. As these projects continue to finish construction, the market is facing a wave of supply hitting all at once. Zillow's rental trend data shows declining asking rents in several neighborhoods, including Mandarin, Arlington, and the Beaches area. Landlords who raised rents aggressively between 2017 and 2022 are now reversing course.
Number 4. Tampa, Florida. Tampa's rental market did not slowly cool down in 2025. It flipped almost overnight. For years, Tampa was one of the hottest destinations in the entire United States. It attracted remote workers, wealthy investors, and developers who believed demand could never slow. But today, Apartment List confirms that Tampa is experiencing one of the clearest rent declines in Florida, and the reason is simple. Too much luxury supply arrived all at once.
During the boom years, developers poured billions into new construction. Downtown Tampa, West Shore, Channelside, Water Street, and even suburban pockets like Wesley Chapel and Brandon saw a surge in large-scale apartment complexes. Many of these projects were Class A buildings with high-end amenities, rooftop pools, structured parking, and premium rents that often exceeded $2,000 a month. These units were built under the assumption that Tampa would continue to attract high-income residents at the same pace seen in 2020 and 2021, but the market changed. As CoStar's research shows, more than 14,000 new rental units were delivered across the Tampa Bay region within just a 2-year window. That is one of the largest supply injections in city history. The demand side, however, did not keep up. Insurance spikes, property tax increases, and cost of living pressures have pushed many renters to look farther inland for cheaper options. Wage growth in Tampa has not matched the rising costs, and even strong job sectors like healthcare, finance, and logistics could not absorb the flood of new units. Vacancy rates across downtown and West Shore have climbed to multi-year highs. Many luxury buildings that expected full occupancy are now offering aggressive concessions: 1 month free, 2 months free, reduced parking fees, lowered deposits. Some are even offering short-term leases to boost occupancy numbers. Zillow's latest data shows asking rents falling across nearly all central Tampa neighborhoods. The rental market has entered a true reset period, the kind not seen since the Great Recession. Tampa is not collapsing, but it has undeniably overbuilt. And in 2025, landlords who once bragged about endless demand are now fighting to keep tenants from walking away.
Number 3. Orlando, Florida. Orlando has long been one of Florida's most expensive rental markets. Powered by global tourism, rapid in-migration, and heavy short-term rental investment, rents rose at some of the fastest rates in the nation between 2019 and 2022. But in 2025, the narrative has reversed sharply. CoStar reports that the metro is now facing some of the steepest vacancy spikes in the Southeast. A major driver is the collapse of the short-term rental model. Thousands of investors in Kissimmee, Davenport, and Horizon West purchased homes expecting endless nightly bookings. Instead, insurance costs surged, Airbnb occupancy fell, and stricter city rules arrived. Many owners had no choice but to convert their properties into long-term rentals, suddenly adding significant supply to an already crowded market. At the same time, developers kept building. The Orlando Metro approved tens of thousands of apartments between 2020 and 2024, especially in Lake Nona, Winter Garden, Mills Park, and downtown. These projects were planned during peak population growth, but the University of Florida Bureau of Economic and Business Research shows that in-migration slowed sharply by 2024, reducing the pipeline of new renters. Tourism spending has also shifted. Theme parks remain busy, but visitor spending per capita has declined due to inflation. A softer hospitality sector means fewer stable renters entering the market. Zillow's rental index now shows year-over-year declines across many Orlando neighborhoods, with drops reaching 7% in some areas. Large apartment communities are aggressively competing for tenants with move-in credits, flexible lease terms, and discounted first-year rents. Vacancy levels have hit multi-year highs. CoStar reports that several submarkets have surpassed a 10% vacancy rate, something Orlando has not seen in more than a decade. Orlando is still a global tourism hub, but its rental market is absorbing the consequences of oversupply, weakened investor confidence, and a surge of former vacation rentals. In 2025, the city faces a reset that is deep, widespread, and still unfolding.
Number 2. Fort Myers, Florida. Fort Myers became the poster child of Florida's pandemic migration boom. It was the destination everyone wanted, from remote workers fleeing northern cities to retirees searching for sunshine and affordability. Home prices skyrocketed, rents surged at record-breaking speed. Developers raced to build anything they could, certain that demand would never slow. But in 2025, Fort Myers is facing a dramatic reversal.
The city is now one of the most overbuilt rental markets in the entire state, and the consequences are hitting fast. According to Zillow and Realtor Analytics, asking rents in Fort Myers have dropped sharply over the past year. This decline is not isolated. CoStar reports that vacancies across Lee County have surged into the double digits as thousands of new units hit the market at the same time. Apartment communities that once filled instantly are struggling to attract interest. Some have more empty units today than during the Great Recession. The biggest problem is supply. Between 2020 and 2024, Fort Myers approved more than 10,000 new multifamily units, one of the highest construction periods in its history. Developers expected population growth to continue at extreme levels, but the migration boom that once powered the city has slowed considerably. The University of Florida's population research confirms that in-migration into Southwest Florida has cooled each year since 2022. Job growth has also flattened. Industries that once fueled new housing demand, such as construction, retail, and healthcare, are expanding more slowly. Rising insurance costs and hurricane risk have also discouraged renters who might have considered relocating to Southwest Florida. Renters are now more cautious, and many choose inland cities with lower risk and lower cost. Because of this, landlords across Fort Myers are panicking. Concessions are everywhere. 2 months free rent, discounted parking fees, zero deposit programs, reduced rates on long-term leases. Some investors who bought properties during the peak have been forced to undercut each other to avoid months of unpaid vacancy. Fort Myers is not collapsing, but it is clearly overbuilt. Too many luxury communities, not enough renters, and a market that once felt invincible is now facing a painful slowdown that may last for years.
Number 1. Cape Coral, Florida. Cape Coral takes the #1 spot, and not by a small margin. This city experienced one of the most dramatic rent increases in all of Florida during the pandemic boom. From 2020 to 2022, rents in Cape Coral surged at one of the fastest rates in the entire United States. Investors from across the country bought properties at record prices. Builders focused heavily on luxury rentals, and many believed Cape Coral would never slow down. But in 2025, the city is facing an equally dramatic reversal. It is now one of the most oversupplied and rapidly weakening rental markets in Florida. Zillow's rental index shows that Cape Coral is experiencing one of the steepest year-over-year rent declines in the state. CoStar confirms that vacancy rates in the area have climbed to some of the highest levels seen in any Florida metro, especially in neighborhoods along Pine Island Road, Veterans Parkway, and the expanding Northern Corridor. The issue is simple. There are far more available units than renters looking for them. One of the biggest drivers of this collapse is the surge in new construction. Between 2020 and 2024, Cape Coral added thousands of new homes and rental communities. Builders assumed that the population boom would continue forever, but with insurance prices rising sharply, storm risk more visible than ever after recent hurricane seasons, and property taxes climbing, many renters have turned away from coastal Southwest Florida altogether. Migration has slowed, job growth has softened, and the investor frenzy that once defined Cape Coral has evaporated. Thousands of rental properties owned by individual investors are now competing directly with large apartment communities, creating an oversupply that is pushing rents downward at a speed never seen before in this city. Landlords are offering deep and often desperate incentives: discounted rent for the first year, major reductions on renewal rates, free months added to the lease, even furnished units at no extra cost. Cape Coral is still a beautiful coastal city, but its rental market is in the middle of a correction so deep that it has become the most extreme in Florida. The boom has ended, and 2025 has become the year of reckoning.
Florida's rental market is rewriting itself in real time. For years, rents surged beyond reason, but in 2025, the reset has arrived. Some cities will recover, others will struggle for years. If you want to stay ahead of housing trends across the United States, subscribe to Discover the Nation. We show you the truth behind every economic shift, city by city. Stay aware, stay informed, and stay prepared.